Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Today we're going through our discussion on Brene Brown's work of men, women, and worthiness. Now, in my previous posts, I had talked about the classical definition of femininity and masculinity, at least within the culture of the United States and the Western Hemisphere. And now I want to talk more on the 4 pillars of shame resilience, particularly the first part. The first part is recognizing that you are in shame and recognizing what your triggers are. You can link up to the other sections on part 2, 3, and 4 of the pillars of shame resilience. And as a reminder, I like starting out with saying why this is important to recognize that you are in shame and recognize what your triggers are. The first thing is because we are dangerous to ourselves and others when we are responding to shame, particularly to those in whom we are in close relationship, have authority over, or to individuals who are vulnerable to us. Think about school teachers, think about coaches, think about spouses, parents. Usually these are the people that knowingly or unknowingly create shame triggers for others because they are responding to their own personal shame triggers and did not know. The second reason why it is necessary to know is because our body stores shame as trauma. And I've talked about how a lot of our physical symptoms of shame, in my case, I have the blue hollowness of no air and I can't talk. Others feel heat and anger and clamminess. These are the same responses that I get when I'm in trauma. For example, I talked about my car accident and almost the same reactions that I have when I experience great shame were the same reactions I had when I was rear-ended by a garbage truck. And so we need to know that we're going through this so that we can resolve it, release it, and keep on moving forward. Otherwise, we store it and it becomes this present continuous source of trauma. Even on a small level, our bodies are not meant to live in consistent trauma all through our time. We're supposed to experience it, resolve it, let it go. Animals do not hold their trauma within them. We should not either. So today I want to talk about your shame triggers. And once again, I'd like you to, if you have not watched it, link to my videos on femininity and masculinity being really impossible standards to hold to, because this links very closely to a shame trigger. In identifying your shame trigger, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, how would you like to be perceived? Usually, the opposite thing is a shame trigger for you. So, for example, I would like to be perceived as being kind and generous. And so anytime I have been told that I am selfish or self-centered, that is an immediate shame trigger. A second thing that I find is we look into our society. What are the classical female and male shame triggers? For women, the first is always your appearance. Too skinny, too fat, too tall, too short, you name it. Hair is gray, you look old, you look too young. It tends to be a shame trigger. Another one for women tends to be relationship status, particularly motherhood. And this is the presence of children or the lack of it. So you have children. Oh, are they well behaved? Oh, you don't have children. Well, you're missing out on life. Are you married? Are you not married? Do you have other fulfilling relationships? Things like that tend to be shame triggers for women. For men, their shame triggers tend to be based primarily on work, professional identification, the money, and their status. Are you gainfully employed? Do you have a great job? A great example of this that I have lived through is during the Great Recession, where a lot of people got laid off. It was very non-discriminating. It did not matter whether you were a good worker or not. You got laid off. And a lot of men had a huge crisis of shame because they were not able to provide and their identity was locked into that. That is one really big nugget of shame, when anyone questions your status or your power or your money. The second one tends to be emotional. It is the ability to have emotional control, or being considered tough, or being considered stoic. And I think this has to do with a lot of Greek Stoic philosophy that has filtered down into present day life. And I do think there's some great things about Stoicism. However, I think taken to an excess, it encourages this form of lack of emotional expression. And so when you hear specific words like man up, don't cry, don't be a sissy, those kind of things are little shame triggers that can cause you to go into your shame reactions. And a third way that might be a little bit more unique to you is finding out anything that is related to your shame symptoms. So for example, in my case, I mentioned that when I am in shame, I tend to have a hollow chest, and then I lose my ability to speak. And so one of my shame triggers is when I find myself in a situation that I ask myself, what silences me? And what do I feel that I don't have a right to speak about? And therein, I tend to find my shame triggers. Now, a solution to trying to bring yourself back to your situation anytime you get into a shame reaction is you try to come back into your body. You see, when you go into a trauma or shame reaction, you go back into your autonomous system, which is your automatic system, your what they call your animal brain. It is very reactionary. It is not engaging into your prefrontal cortex thinking part of your brain. And so Brene Brown has this wonderful idea where she talks about pinging, saying, you start saying something. She says, ping, 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 ping. And by saying something, you are forcing your frontal brain to work. And therefore, you're bringing it back online to deal with the situation you're in. Another release tactic that I really love doing, especially when I'm in a series of high stress and a constant continual stress situation, is what I call the feral scream and the shake, which was taken from animals that are typically preyed on, like deer, rabbits, things of that sort. They find out that any time that they have been attacked by an animal that wants to eat them and then they escape, they immediately shake. It's like they're using their body to try to get out the feeling of stress out of their system. And it is a very strong and almost uncontrollable seizure-like shake. And so you can simulate that. And I also do what they call a feral scream, because it's once again using your body to bring out the emotions and the trauma that has happened so that it doesn't get stored in your body. It might be hard to do a scream anywhere where someone might call 911. One place I find very easy to do it is when I'm driving on the highway. Because if your windows are up, no one can hear you, you can give a good scream out. So those are the three, and I will go into more tactics that you can use in dealing with trauma responses in the remaining parts of the 4 pillars of shame resilience. I hope this has been helpful and beneficial to you. I want to have you continue on your journey of wholeness and courage, bringing forth the very best things within you so that you can enjoy them and so that the world can enjoy them. I hope to see you next time. Click and link and subscribe if you like what you hear so that we can create more content and you get notifications of new videos that are coming out. See you next time.